I just finished watching Stranger Things Season 5, Part 1. Let's talk about it. So before even getting into this season, it's kind of crazy where we've gotten from the beginning of the show. This show came out, I think, 9 years ago, and it really was a phenomenon. It was super positive, the child actors, all the sci-fi stuff, the 80s stuff, and it's crazy to the point we've gotten to now where this show is just a lightning rod of negativity, really from every conceivable angle, whether it be like the David Harbour, Millie Bobby Brown drama about him harassing her, which turned out to not be true, to Noah Schnapp, people not liking him for politics. The actors are getting much older, so people don't like that. And so there's all these things kind of going on with the show. I think there's a part of the audience that thinks the show is repetitive a little bit. So there's all this negativity, and then I think the biggest complaint is obviously the gap between seasons has been so large. And so that has kind of taken up a lot of space for the show from last season to this season. With that being said, the show is always an enjoyable watch. Obviously, there's a fluctuation from season to seasons in terms of quality, but this is just a fun show to hang out with. I'm sure some people might, be tired of the 80s nostalgia, might be tired of the Demogorgons, but overall, if you like this show, I think you're going to like this season. I thought this was a strong start. I thought it was a strong ending, a little bit of a cliffhanger ending, and it sets up well for the next part of this season. I don't want to sound like too much of a film snob, but I think so much of this of the season was hurt a little bit just by the laziness of Netflix in general, and a lot of the problems is just Netflix problems in general, in terms of like the filming quality. So many of the scenes in the Upside Down are clearly like in a film studio, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Like I said, I don't want to be a film snob, but Netflix, I just feel like, should be just more creative and just commit a little bit more to filmmaking. An example of this is that scene where they're kind of climbing up Jonathan and Steve are competing against each other, climbing up that kind of like tower. And I don't expect them to like actually do that or actually film on top of that, but it would have been cool if like, hey, maybe if they hired a couple of stunt guys to actually do that and really filmed it. It kind of been kind of cool, but clearly, they were using a green screen on top there, and that's just kind of the stuff I'm talking about. I do think this season, though, the content is a little bit confusing. I'm having a little bit of a hard time kind of, remembering or discerning who knows what, how much of what's gone on in this show is known to the public. The community is kind of under quarantine with the military, but we don't really know. They kind of just use the military as almost like this generic thing. They don't really go into like detail about the military and kind of what's going on. So I think that kind of hurts the show a little bit. I think it was really, really cool to see Linda Hamilton in the show, of course, from the Terminator movies, one of the original, kind of female action hero characters being in the show. I thought was really, really cool. And I just like that in general. I think that's one of the strong parts of streaming in general. You can kind of create roles for these actors that might not have existed in the past. One of, I guess, the tough parts of children actors is when they grow up, a lot of times, they sometimes don't mature into the same acting quality as an adult as they were as a kid. And I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of the acting in this season seems very wonky. I don't know if it's they're trying to act like kids even though they're older. I don't know if it's maybe just, I don't know what it is, but I think clearly Sadie Sink, Max's character, is by far the best actor in that age group in this show. Millie Bobby Brown is kind of doing the same thing, but I do wonder if maybe like the children's acting skills were maybe stunted because they were in such a big show so early on. They kind of were like fixated on these characters, and they didn't really get many opportunities to be in many other projects. None of it is like really, really bad. It might be the writing, although I will say a lot of the scenes were a little bit clunky in terms of acting. One thing that surprised me a little bit is that the length of the episodes didn't bother me. I was a little bit kind of dreading watching such long episodes, but the thing about this show is it's kind of just one big hangout, and so the length didn't really bother me. It didn't really feel tedious. I didn't really feel struggling with it, like, oh, is this almost over? And so I think that part was good. I did not mind that at all, which surprised me a little bit. I will say, though, I think Netflix maybe, while I don't hate the 3 parts, I think they should have released this show week by week, get the audience, the discussion going. They're so kind of stubborn about their business plan, but I think perhaps, ending their biggest show of all time would have been a good idea to do that. overall, in summation, I think this was a quality, start to this season. I don't have any hot takes. I think if you like Stranger Things until now, you're going to like this season. If you don't like Stranger Things or you're tired of it, I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think this is the strongest season, but it's definitely not the weaker season. I definitely think it's near the top. I think seasons 1 and 4 are the best. I think season 3 is probably in the middle. I think season 2 is the worst. And I think this will come in. We'll see how they land it. Right now, it's looking pretty comparable. Maybe not to season 4, maybe slightly under season 4 in the number 3 spot, but I thought this was a good start. So let me know, guys, think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.